As a hairstylist who owns multiple multi-million-dollar companies, in this podcast, I'm talking to hairstylists and salon owners who are ready to put in the work to build wealth. We are literally teaching stylists how to get results. We're getting them to get results on how to make more money behind the chair and to create their own empires. It's what you know that you don't know that you need to know in order to get to where you want to go. Because I understand now that in order for me to get to my targets and my big goals and be able to impact 500,000 stylists all over the world and 400 plus salon owners and helping them run an efficient business that they don't feel like they're babysitting anymore, that they feel like they know how to scale it because they have the right information. We get to touch this magic every day of giving people the confidence of hair, but truly it's how do we be more impactful and understanding. My name is Terra Harvell and this is the Terra Harvell Show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Terra Harvell Show, and I'm so excited because I have a frequent guest now. You're a frequent flyer.
This is episode 2 for me.
Oh.
Is that maiden frequent?
Okay, yes, that is frequent.
Okay, frequent.
I have Dawson Floyd, who is our director of legal and business strategy. And we're going to actually continue the talk around this whole white label craze inside of our industry. And the reason why I'm bringing him in is because, first of all, what he does inside of Harper Ellis, which is a lot of legality, contracts, all the things that we need with that. But he also is my right-hand man when it comes to strategy, building new processes, building new ways that businesses can scale. He's going to be very, very valuable around this conversation because he knows the depths of like what these contracts could look like and why, honestly, we want to be kind of honest about us almost doing this whole white label thing. And I think that a lot of people out there have considered it. I know that even some of our client base has not only just considered it, some of our client base has went and white labeled through another American-based person that buys hair and then just lets people put their label on it. And so we want to just educate. That's what we do, is we educate the industry on a lot of gaps that they have as far as how businesses grow, how they are scaling, and how they are structured. But the biggest thing, and this is going to roll into our conversation, if you know me and you know around what I teach on with salons and what I teach stylists to do, is I don't build a business without a plan to exit. And I think that's where this conversation gets really hot, is because people are not thinking about that. People, and I did not either. I want to be very, very vulnerable when it comes to like, I didn't come out of into the business world just being like, oh, I know and I understand that someday I'm going to have to exit a business. And so I want to repeat what I have said a million times during a podcast, but you guys understand that there's 2 ways to exit a business, right? Or I guess you say 3, don't you?
Yeah, there are. I mean, you either die and you pass it along, you sell, or it goes out of business.
Right.
But really there's 2, and you either sell it or it goes out of business.
Right.
So.
And I actually had a mentor say that to me. And I was like, oh, I've never really thought of it that way. And literally that day, I reframed my entire way of thinking when it comes to my own businesses, but also the way that I teach. We know that, I've developed Dawson has helped me develop the strata salon structure. And all of that is centered around the exit of the stylists and the employees that work inside of the company, the salon, and also for the owner. And so when we saw this white label craze really come to life inside of the industry, we were like, wow, this may be something that we should do. So let's talk about that. This was last fall, wasn't it?
It was right around this time last year. We were starting to talk annual planning and strategy for 2025, and we were thinking, what are some ways? What are some alternative revenue streams for us that we could market and sell that we just weren't currently doing? And one of the lowest hanging fruits was white label, and because it's really not doing anything different than we were already doing, it's just putting somebody else's brand on our product, really, and then charging a fee to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we see some of our biggest competitors doing this right now. Like some of the other extension companies that have grown, kind of at the same pace that we are, they're now opening this new vertical, which is letting their stylist come in, put their logo on their product, and then, sell it to, well, that's the part we're not really sure who they're selling it to, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah. So from a short-term horizon, I mean, it made sense, right? Like when I say short-term horizon, I mean like in the near term, like in the first year, 2 years after, whatever last fall would have been when we were thinking about launching it in talks. It's like, what can we do? And we figured that it was going to be a quick hit, a quick bump to revenue, but it wasn't going to sustain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, let's start this off by, I am absolutely not perfect. And I want to make that statement. And here's why. I actually stood on a stage in front of 200 salon owners / stylists last fall. And I was like, oh, we have a new announcement. We're going to let you guys white label Harper Ellis hair and, create your own brands inside of your salon. And we went back to the drawing board.
There was a lot of buzz around it,
and there was a lot of buzz. Our people were excited.
Yeah.
And we came back to the office after this big event and we were like, all right, let's crack this out. Let's get it going.
We had conversations with at least 10 people, 10 business owners that were going to be the first crop of people we were going to do this with.
Yeah.
And we just decided it didn't make sense. Not for them, not for us.
Well, I want to talk about the one salon owner that I got on the phone with.
Yeah.
And that was like our turning point between him and I, that we looked at each other and was like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And because we got on this call with the salon owner and she was really excited about it. She's like, I'm very interested. I want to white label Harper Ellis hair. And I was kind of going through how it would work. And because we had already sort of figured that out. And she was like, okay, but like, are you going to help me build the business? Like, that's what I'm needing. I want you to help me build what you have with Harper Ellis. And I was like, okay, the value that we're giving you is just a trusted product. Like we're not like, I'm not going to go out and give you all of our marketing tools, every single thing that we've done to compete with me.
Yeah, correct.
But you are going to have less margins because I don't white label, I go straight to the source. And so through that one conversation, I literally cut it off in the middle of it. You were sitting in my office and I was like, okay, listen, let me go back to the drawing board because this does not make sense. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but you asked me the right questions and it triggered something in my brain that I was like, that would be weird. This is like we're battling each other. And so I literally hung up the phone, clicked, end meeting on Zoom. I looked at him and I was like, that ain't gonna fucking work. Like, this is not a business plan based off of my morals. This is not gonna work.
But also based off of just pure business concepts. Because if you get to the heart of what white labeling is taking somebody else's product and slapping your branding on it and then selling it. You have no control outside of whatever brand is on that.
Yeah.
And what this person unintentionally and not in any way maliciously was seeking was to skip years of brand building and quality building and quality control and skip right to the profits, not understanding how that impacts not only our purchasing power, but her purchasing power and her business in and of itself. So.
Yeah. So, we're over here and this is and we get a lot of backlash for what we do day to day because we have totally different opinions on how businesses, salons, should be ran and how stylists are treated and also brainwashed. And that's pretty prominent word, but brainwashed to operate inside of this industry. And so I looked at him and I was like, this is not going to work because Dawson, knowing what he knows about business and his skills that he brought to the table when he was hired by Harper Ellis, I literally asked him one question. I'm like, how does if a salon owner comes in and they put their logo on our product, how do they exit that business? And you looked at me in that same day and you're like, well, they don't. So let's go there first. Let's talk about, I know we're kind of jumping to that.
Yeah.
But then we'll come backwards and get into the weeds of like all the little.
We can talk about liability. We can talk about everything. But really, what it boils down to is, and I'll pose a question to you first. Why does anybody ever go into business? When you create a business, whether it's an HVAC business, you're creating a marketing company, starting a law firm, starting a salon. Why do you go into business?
Yeah. So I want to give the long answer if you don't mind, even though I know you're going to be like, stop. A lot of people go into business because they have a great idea that solves people's problems.
Yes.
And then they want to create a better life for themselves so they can make more money. But the main reason why people go into business is to create a profit.
Because a profit enables all those other things to occur.
Right.
Right. So if we have a good product or a good service that solves a problem and we can sell it for a price that's got good margins, we can create profit to go accomplish the other things that we want to do with that profit, which is the growing, which is the providing for other people, etc. So that's the key is like, all right, the basic concept of a business is I open to profit. So from a white labeling standpoint, at this point, we're a salon owner. We're looking to white label hair, maybe some tools, or maybe some products like conditioner, shampoo, etc. And you're sitting in your salon and you're saying, okay, cool. I've started this entire brand, right? It is my brand. It's the same as a salon. That's going to increase my value by a lot whenever I go to sell, right? Well,
they're not thinking about that.
Not even yet.
As much as I love what they're not even thinking about it.
Okay, so
which is a problem.
Why then answer this question. Why is a salon owner interested in white labeling?
Because they think they're going to make a buck today. Like they think that their margins, like they might get the product for a little bit cheaper, and then when they go sell it to their stylist,
they're going to get the product cheaper.
That's what they think. But that's how these white label people are out there selling it. They're like, don't go work with these big brands. This is like literally what's on the internet. I think we've talked about this, but they say, don't go buy from these big brands. Come buy from us because you will get the product cheaper and you will be able to grow your margins today in your salon.
So why are they selling to you cheaper?
I don't.
Well, they're selling to you cheaper because they're buying a cheap product. So the quality is probably not there.
Right.
But they're not passing any margin along to you unless they're willing to decrease their profits, which they can only do if it's one, a cheaper product than what you are otherwise purchasing, or two, they're leveraging 1 trillion of you out there to essentially get bulk buying capabilities from wherever they're sourcing. So it's really, you might say, oh, I'm white labeling to increase my margins. Actually, you're probably not. They're probably charging you a fee because now all of a sudden either I'm having to package and store inventory or they are. So they're going to pass all those costs on to you.
So they are. They are literally. So whenever we were sort of secret shopping these people, they say you have to pay them a fee to even have access to their inventory. And then they're
charging their overhead right there.
Yes. It's
wow.
So like on the end number of that P&L.
What do you do when there's a tax? Do you eat that in your business as a salon owner, or do you pass that to the consumer?
I eat that. No, sorry.
Yeah, sales tax. Let's say there's a sales tax. You going to cover sales tax for the people that are in your chairs? No, you pass that on the consumer.
Right.
Do you think they're going to eat their overhead, or are they going to pass that on to the person purchasing that white labeled product?
They're going to pass it on because. So this is where like I want people to understand, like, let's just say in a world, let's just say that me, like us, Harper Ellis, and this white label person here, American based, let's say that we are using the same exact factory.
Yeah.
Or let's just say that we have access to the same exact product. Okay. So I sell it for this price and they may sell it for a little cheaper. But it can't be much cheaper because I want to get very transparent with our audience, if you don't mind. Dawson also is like in charge of all financials inside of Harper Ellis. How hard, like what the margin that we sell it as, and we can control that margin because we are constantly, negotiating and being able to have that power because of how much we purchase.
And procuring in large volumes.
Right. But it also takes employees to run this business and a lot of operational expenses that I think these people that you just don't have the business knowledge to understand. And so, because you've never been there, because I didn't know either before. And so they're over here. Maybe they buy it from me for a little more expensive today, but then they're also going here and they're paying for this overhead fee to get access to their stock.
It's a hidden fee.
It's hidden
like when
fee.
You go to a ticket website and it lists I don't want to get sued by any ticket websites out there, but I cannot stand that industry. It's called drip fees. Well, these are essentially hidden fees. It's like all the fees you pay in addition to do business with them. So, you go to a concert.
But also they're buying stock. Like they're buying a massive amount of stock. Or they're not, maybe not massive. They're buying a larger stock than they've ever had to buy, like one off. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the actual, the salon itself.
Yeah.
So not only do I have to invest in all these hidden fees, essentially this starter fee, this activation fee. Basically, think of like you're activating your phone and you don't like to pay that fee. Well, that's what you're doing here. But you also have to buy in a quantity, which is called an MOQ, minimum order quantity, likely with these people, that so that they know they can make a profit off of you, but then you're stuck carrying inventory that you may not need or that is going to cost you because it cost you $10,000 today to place that order, and it's sitting, and now your fulfillment, now your packaging, now you're all that. You're running a completely different business. You're no longer in the salon game. Now you're your own supplier.
But then, so something that I saw on TikTok the other day was like someone went to one of these people and they white labeled. Well, they started to get people in their community to buy their hair.
Mm-hmm.
But then they had to hire another employee.
Oh yeah, because you need hands
to do the thing.
To do the thing.
And then they've outpriced the margin. Then the margin is back to smaller than what it was just by going to these big companies and buying.
So let's talk margins real quick. So because I don't want to get lost on what that means. So let's take it back to the basics of business. You get in business to make a profit. Profit means whatever's left over to take home after all your expenses. So revenue minus expenses equals profit. That's your basic equation, if you will. So $10 in revenue minus $2 expenses means $8 profit, right? That's what's left over. So what Tara's saying here, and what we're really drilling down to is, how do you create profit? Well, that's through margins, and it's controlling your margins. And if I know that I can buy, 1,000 products for $1,000, and I can sell that 1,000 products at $2,000, I just created $1,000 of profit if I have no other expenses associated with it. But if I need a couple people to handle the product, to do whatever it is that I'm doing with it in order to sell it, all of a sudden those are added expenses every single month. So it goes back to, what's your P&L say? What's your selling general administrative expenses? What's your payroll? What are your marketing expenses to sell it? All those things. And you may say, well, I'm a salon owner. I don't have any of those with the hair that I'm buying from a white label. Well, yes, you do, because all of a sudden now I have all these inventorying costs associated with this bulk purchase that I've just bought. And now I have to offload those, and I have to have this space to store it now. All those things are costs that are hidden, if you will, because you're just not used to those, because you're running another business aside from a service-based business, which is being a salon.
Yeah.
So you're adding all these costs that you aren't calculating into what I can sell this hair for. So you're really dipping into your margins, and you are much less profitable than if you just buy the hair when you need it from somebody who's in the business of selling it.
Yeah. Or you guys hear it from the mouth of someone who's created a 8-figure extension business. If you want to build a extension business, go do the work.
Yeah.
Go find the manufacturer.
But what does that mean? Yeah.
Spend the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars with testing. Go build then you have to come back and build strategy.
Go find a quality product, number one.
Right. And then go and come back and build a strategy to sell that product, which we're going to get into that next about this white label bullshit. But go put in the work, which is going to cost you upfront. But then you can control your margins, because then you're going to put contracts in place or a trusted relationship in place where you can go back and you can have bargaining power. Because let's talk about that while we're on margins. Okay, what happens when these salon owners, Dawson, goes out and they slap their label on someone else's hair and they build a decent business? Let's just say that. Let's just pretend like these white label people aren't selling to their neighbors.
Yeah.
But let's pretend like, oh, wow, they really started to sell, let's just go crazy. Let's just say they started to sell $10 million worth of hair. Let's say that.
Okay.
And then they come to find out, because to build a business that big, you have an operating expense that these white label people are not telling you about.
Yes.
And then you have no profitability on the $10 millions worth of revenue that you're bringing in on this product. Okay. You're not making you any money, because when you don't have profit, you're not making money. Mm-hmm. You're making this middleman money.
Yes. Who you're buying from is making money.
Your business then runs out of power, because you don't have the power to go buy or to go hire anything or buy anything for your business, because you have no profit margin. And so, but then they can't go back. Okay. So you may be watching this and going, well, then I would go maybe negotiate the margins. Is there room for that?
Likely not. So
would those people even
let's
negotiate?
open up a little secret about the industry and just about supply chain in general, right? And this is getting so boring for people listening to this, I'm sure.
No, it's not.
So just
because
stick with us because we're going to tell you how you make money at the end of this chain.
I don't think
right?
they're bored, because I think a lot of salon owners are thinking about it because they're being
sold it.
Because they're being sold
Yeah.
through marketing.
So these people that are selling this white label concept to a salon owner and saying, build your brand, I'll help you build your brand. They're not really offering you any operational support. But more than that, they're small players. They really are. I mean, and I don't mean that in the sense of like negative, like, cool. They started a business. They've got a strategy. They're out there executing. Respect to that.
Yeah.
The deal is, if they don't have thousands of you guys ordering from them, they have no leverage to negotiate their prices or their sourcing or their cost associated with getting what they're selling you. Therefore, they can't ever drive their margins to a point where they actually help your margins. All right. So let's just play this out. If I can go source real quality hair for as cheap as possible at 1,000 persons or at 1,000 buyers, because I've got 1,000 customers, I can actually do it cheaper per customer if I had 5,000 customers, because now I've got 5,000 buyers that I know I can sell to. The person that's supplying me or sourcing for me knows that they can sell me, and I'm going to be able to sell that product to my 5,000 customers. I can buy in a larger quantity. I can get whatever I'm supplying you for much cheaper because I'm buying in such volume. These white label companies that are out there selling this, they don't have thousands of customers. They probably got large MOQs with some factory in China. They have no ability to go negotiate prices with them. They have no ability to control quality. You get a bad batch, I mean, you could probably open up about that. They have no way to go back to the manufacturer and say, hey, you screwed this order up. That manufacturer's not going to care because they're a small account. It's like, think about it this way. If you've got a tech company that's doing a project and Google is working with them versus I started my own tech company here in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and I'm working with them. Who are they going to give preference to? They're going to give preference to Google. And that's what happens here. So whenever you guys order through a wholesaler or, a supply company that services, thousands of people like we do, we actually get the best price possible and pass those savings along to you. And then you guys, in turn, have less cost of goods sold on your balance sheet. But guess what? We're not at risk of going out of business because we've built an established relationship with a reliable sourcing supply chain across the entire supply chain, so that if we go out of business, so we won't go out of business, so you always have product. If you work with a small supplier and that supplier goes out of business and you're white labeling through them, and all of a sudden they get a bad batch here and go out of business, what happens to your brand?
Well, you have to call all your customers and just be like, I took the shortcut and I found a white labeler here in the US and they fucked it all up. And now I'm going to have to pause for a little bit until I go find someone else to slap my brand on.
And all of a sudden we got a business interruption. We got loss of reputation. It doesn't matter what size your vendor is if you're white labeling, because you're bringing on the same amount of risk. But where it does matter on whether the vendor is large or small is the ability of that vendor to source, quality control, and their ability to drive the amount that they're charging for the product to you down through leveraging their own customer base's purchasing power, which, is just simple economics. And the big thing is that you really want to think about is whenever I decide to white label, I'm bringing quality control in-house. I'm bringing inventory costs in-house. I'm bringing customer service in-house. I'm bringing all my warranties and return policies in-house. I'm bringing all of this liability, all of this management in-house. I'm literally bringing a complete business model in-house. Yeah. It's not as simple as just slap my label on a brand and sell it to a customer. And you're skipping the line in years and years of brand building and business making because you don't have any goodwill associated with that product with your client base, because clients care first and foremost about a quality product before they care about packaging and a brand. Now, I'm not saying that stuff's not important, but those things come after you build that quality product. So,
but the problem is too, of like, I think, a lot of these salon owners think that, they're like, oh, I want my own extension line. And they think this is their easy way out, which is fine.
So is that an ego thing?
But yeah, sure. And I had ego when I opened a business. Like, I got knocked on my ass really fast, but like, yeah, when I opened a business, I wanted my own brand, and I think, that was cool. But
like, you had it in the salon.
Yeah. I didn't have to go out, and I went and took the right route. I went and found the real people that are going to give me the real product that I could control my margins. And so, but because I'm telling you, I may not have always had an exit in mind, but I also always had a good thumb on the pulse of what building a valuable business looked like. And so I think that's where these salon owners are missing that mark, is like, are you building a valuable business? So can we talk about that really quickly? Like,
so all those things that I just mentioned, that goodwill with the clients, the customer service risk, the warranty risk, the quality control risk, the supply chain risk, that's all factored in a business valuation, right?
Yeah.
So you talk about how, okay, I wanted to have my own brand. I want to do this thing. Well, you didn't take the short way. And you had to go create an entirely separate business that, by the way, you had to step out of your salon for years to run. And now you might be able to sell them both, but that means you're selling two different companies.
Right.
Because those things are not additives to a value, evaluation on a salon. Those really are negatives, because all that comes with them is risk. So if, Terra, you were going to go in and buy a salon from somebody, because we're expanding, right? And we're looking to maybe do some acquisitions over the next 3 or 4 years. If they had their own brand of hair extensions and they, or whatever, and they had all of these concerns, but no processes in place, would you buy that business for any money?
Well, that's not necessarily what I would say. I would go, who are you selling these hair extensions to?
Well, the consumer. That's what I'm saying. You're a hair salon. You're a hair salon. You're only selling to your client base.
But that's the problem, Dawson. That's not what is being sold to these other salon owners. They're being sold this dream that they can go out and they can sell these hair extensions to other stylists in their area, but only in their area. Don't dream too big, because that white label person's probably selling to the stylist in the next town over. I think selling to their direct client is
then they're already capped at the valuation, because they're capped at a geographic region.
Right. So the answer is hell no. As an investor, I'd be like, first of all, you're switching audiences. Like, you have a salon. I'm buying this value because you maybe let's just say they have a valuable salon. I'm looking at that. I'm evaluating, okay, you've built a great brand with great customer base. That customer base is the client who gets their hair done. When you're selling extensions, like, that becomes a cog. Those extensions become a cog of that business, but they're not the same business. So, so this business that they're selling these hair extensions, because the client isn't the client for that. It's stylists. Like, who's installing this hair? So two different audiences, those don't cross.
Yeah. So if this episode's not making sense, it's because that business model doesn't make sense. It's totally not in alignment.
Yes. But like, I hate it, because I just, like, if you want to build a hair extension company, go do the work. I'm not saying don't do it, but like, let me just walk you through in 30 seconds what the first 3 years of my business looked like. I went out, I found a supplier. I spent, my first order was around $20,000. Literally, y'all, I started my business with 20 grand. Okay.
It's a good return on investment.
Yeah, but listen.
Return on capital.
Yeah, but listen. Then I turned around and I placed another order for about $40,000, because I put all the profit that I made back into the business.
Yeah, that's why profit matters.
Then I turned around and I turned that $40,000 into a $100,000 order. And then I got all bad hair that I couldn't sell to anyone, and I almost went bankrupt. Yeah. And so...
Did you eat that money?
I did eat that money. Yeah. And then I had to go out and find a new manufacturer, and someone that would actually partner with me, not just sell me a product, where we have agreements in place. We have processes in place. We have a partnership. We have a relationship in place.
An entire buying pattern, lead times, minimum order quantities.
Right. And I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of testing to find the right product. And then, we've arrived, but what I need people to understand is like the relationship that I have with our factory today is not the same one I had 5 years ago. Today I have much more power. I can negotiate margins. I can take my business plan and I can do the right things in order to grow Harper Ellis Hair Company. But I did not have that power 5 years ago. And if you're a salon owner and your plan is to just sell to a few stylists in your area and then to your client base inside of your own salon, that is not a scalable business, and you're backing yourself into a corner.
Yep. And you're bringing on a lot of risk that any investor of either business that you're running, because you're running 2 businesses at that point, they're going to say, no, I'm not, in pest smell test, I'm not coming around that. I'm not going to give you any money for it.
Right. And so, I mean, I guess if you're just not trying to exit a business, because I think that's the argument, Dawson. I think a lot of salon owners and stylists give me that pushback, like, but that's not my goal. And I'm like, okay, so the goal is to just like, what are you going to do? Have a little bit of inventory left over and sell it on Facebook Marketplace?
Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like
pennies on the dollar.
You're not going to make a profit off of that to be able to like retire or build wealth. I just don't like, I have a hard time understanding. This conversation is going nowhere because it just doesn't make sense. And then I want to finish up with this strategy thing. Like they're also selling to the neighbor. Like they're literally going out and they're being like, oh, you can sell this product to all the stylists in your area. And then I even heard one white label.
So you're a distribution hub?
Yeah, for them.
Yeah.
For them. But they don't realize it. It's
so
weird.
Guess what? You are now, they're taking you and they're mobilizing you as their workforce.
But like these are all salon owners that don't believe in commission. But they're being thrown to a commission model.
Well, yeah.
Oh, God, y'all.
All you're doing is guaranteeing a supplier a revenue stream and taking the problem off their hands. You're doing their marketing for them.
We wonder why our industry gets talked so much shit about. Like, and here's the deal. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm all high and mighty. And it took me years to get the knowledge that I have today. And a lot of failures, a lot of them. And some of the failures that we're even talking about today on this podcast, like, I didn't just come out and be able to look at a model like this and know how stupid it is, right? But this is why we're making this podcast, because I know a lot of people consider it. And I think if you want to own an extension brand, I promise you, and my team can back me up, like I will be a cheerleader for you. I'm not going to like.
Better have 60 more hours a week to work.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. But I'm not going to call and give you like my factory and stuff, which my factory wouldn't just work with anybody. But like, I think that's great, but go do the work. Stop. Trying to make it easier yeah. And so, what else did you want to cover?
Well, let's be clear though. White labeling can work.
Yeah.
But you better go build an entire business centered around that strategy and those operations. That is not just I'm running this white label company or hairline out of the back of my salon. That's not going to work.
Right. It's not going to work. And the one thing that I want to make sure that people understand, and I've talked a little bit about this before in my last episode, some of your biggest names in business, Estee Lauder, L'Oreal has a lot of different products now, but a lot of those are white label. I won't say any names because I think she might be upset with me, but I have a mentor that has a very large business. They sold for multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. Their hair care line was primarily white labeled. And I asked her, I was like, do you think it's like, what's your take on that? And she was like, well, first of all, you would never, ever, ever white label any sort of product if you do not have the right contracts in place to be able to control your margin and control what the exit of that business looks like. And people that are actually real white labeling, which means they went to the factory who owns the IP of this creation. And that's the thing with hair extensions, there's not much IP. Like there is, but the factory owns that. Mm-hmm. Your middleman does not have that power. And so therefore these people like Estee Lauder and these large businesses that have had multiple exits, they have contracts in place basically where they can control all the things that we've talked about in this podcast. They have it in contract that they have the control over that scenario. And so that's real white labeling. What you guys are doing is not white labeling. You're adding
a middle person to the transaction. So instead of one middleman, now you have 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. And I just, I think it's setting people up for failure. I have one of our ex-customers. I don't know if you knew this, but she tried to slam me on social media the other day after I mentioned this. And I hope she listens to this because it's no hard feelings against her. And I understand that when someone doesn't go against, I wasn't going against what she's saying. I'm just trying to educate her. And here's what's funny. Did you know that this person is actually going through the person that used to do our marketing? Did you know that she has a white label company?
You've mentioned it, but we've never really put too much attention to it.
This girl, this lady, she used to do our marketing. She used to even educate with us a little bit. She I guess she saw my success and all the things. So she went out and found a China, hair manufacturer, and she's going out and she sells to other stylists and promises this dream. And one of our biggest customers that we used to have actually works with this person. And I kind of came out and started talking about this white label stuff, and she was not happy with me. And which is, you know how I feel about stuff like that. You're not going to hurt my feelings on stuff like that when I'm just over here trying to educate you. But it is they think it's a get rich quick scheme. And I think I want to end with that is guys, there's not, there's a white label company right now that on their box, the top, when they send out boxes, when they first start to white label their stuff, it says where millions are made.
Oh,
we have a $10 million hair extension business. Do we make millions? Make profit?
No.
Yeah. No. So because you're operating and we run pretty lean.
Yeah. Exceedingly.
Yeah. So just don't be deceived by this.
Unless you're ready to employ about 40 people and have about anywhere from $4 to $5 million going out the door every single quarter in hair purchase orders, you're not gonna make any money.
No. So it's not where millions are made, but it's where millions are spent. I'll leave you with that. Love you guys.